Tea Act of 2020. Today, the tea industry price stabilization framework was unveiled, outlining measures to cushion tea farmers from heavy costs, optimizing their profits. I talked to Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya on agricultural reforms and the global forces that are impacting the sector. I started by asking him how the price stabilization is critical for the overall tea sector.
We've been doing reforms in the sector geared towards improving tea farmers' incomes. And so far the reforms have borne fruit in the sense that prices of tea in the auction have been consistently good, which gives hope to the farmers that when they are paid their bonus, it will be higher than what they got last year when the situation was very bad. But beyond that, we also decided to carry out a study, and we appointed a task force that will be able to look into the issue of how to stabilize the sector, so that it's predictable. Farmers can be able to know at least we will never earn less than this. Then they can be able to invest in farming, because part of the problem is volatility in the market, where prices are terrible, sometimes they are good. So unpredictability makes it difficult for any investor, including a smallholder farmer, to continue investing in the business he does. And therefore, the framework, civilization framework proposed by this report is to ensure that there is stability in the sector, there is predictability. Farmers can look forward to continuing investing in farming, knowing well that their earnings will be good. They can be able to get returns, be able to pay costs, and be able to earn reasonable returns from the investments.
You've mentioned the smallholder farmer, the formation of the tea fund with the Tea Act of 2020. This was a critical reform to make sure that the cost element is contained. So maybe just elaborate on that, the tea fund, and how that will cushion our farmers moving forward.
The Tea Stabilization Fund is part of the stabilization framework. The task force actually their work was to come out with a plan on how to set up the Tea Stabilization Fund and also deal with other issues that could impact on the stability of the sector. So it was broader. But specifically we were to focus on the tea fund. The idea is when the market is good, the fund continues growing so that you don't utilize it when the situation is good. So the fund is for a rainy day. You set it up, then you build it up. So it becomes like an insurance fund for the farmers, so that when the situation is not good for them, then they can draw from that fund. The fund is also intended to support inputs, because we have also seen that inputs are one of the most expensive components of tea farming. And again, we are never in control what happens in the world market where we get our fertilizers. Like the situation we are in right now, due to the disruptions by the COVID-19, prices have doubled actually. Prices for fertilizer have doubled. So this fund again is intended to cushion the farmer when inputs are unaffordable or too expensive. Then this fund can come in to subsidize, instead of looking for money from next check every year to subsidize fertilizer and other inputs. The other thing, of course, is we could look into also setting up a factory. You can have a PPP, where you have a fertilizer factory funded probably from this fund, and maybe getting other investors you can have a PPP where long term we can also set up that. Definitely. So in a nutshell, the fund is intended to cushion the farmer, underwrite some of the expenses that make farming expensive, so that farmers can have income. But it is a fund, a long-term one, which will start setting up from allocation from Parliament, from a small levy from the trading, not from the farmer, because I know there are people who say farmers will be paying. No, it is from the trading. The traders will be paying something to put into the fund. Then we will build the fund over time, and we'll put a very stringent regulations to make sure that the fund is not misused. It is we draw from it only when it is required and for specific purposes.
Yes. You know, you've touched on rainy day, and we seem to be in a sort of rainy day situation, looking at fertilizer prices, which is a huge concern. Very soon, even people are projecting it will hit, 7,000 shillings a bag. I mean, what is being done? I know you were at Parliament the other day to seek for some, funds to make sure that farmers are cushioned. Maybe bring us up to date so far. What are we doing to bring the fertilizer prices down?
We gave proposal to Parliament on different scenarios of subsidy, and we settled on the possibility of getting 3.5 billion to deal with the critical value chain and the most vulnerable, because we may not be able to subsidize every farmer in the country. If we were to do that, then you would talking about billion. If you were to cut all fertilizer down to last year's price. So what we have proposed to Parliament is 3 billion if they will allocate us, but we give them the proposal as they asked us, so that they can allocate that money, and then we can see how to sort out the farmers. We may not go to the old system where you would use somebody to import the fertilizer. We would use that money to use the national government agencies that are there to be the ones to sell fertilizer, because they already sell. And then we work with the suppliers, those who supply, in an open market to work out the cost down. So we are waiting for that response from Parliament.
Definitely. You said it's targeted, not overly, and not on a wider bar.
For example, want to subsidize Munya. I am a farmer myself. Why would you want to subsidize me? I can manage it. But you want to look at the staples that we use every day, because we already have a subsidy for coffee that is already being implemented. We have a subsidy for potatoes that is already going on. We gave tea a subsidy last season. We're going to buy fertilizer for tea also. We would also think about tea separately. So what you are left with is really look at maize. And that's why we are saying a small money to look at our staples. Then we do that. But of course, I'm saying they are big, those huge farmers who have the capacity to run their affairs. So it's really targeted. It's important to know that even maize, there is a subsidy program, a voucher program running. It's not like there is absolutely no subsidy at all. No, it's 28,000 farmers in the maize growing areas have been receiving e-voucher subsidy program that has been reducing inputs. Potato farmers have also been actually receiving, especially in a special program that was started in Nyandarua, that has made us register for 70,000 farmers there with e-fund in a program that has been running, which we are now expanding to the rest of the country for the potato value chain. So subsidies have been running. It is just that this is a unique year where something that was never anticipated has come and completely made it impossible, very difficult for farmers. And it's across the world. It's not Kenya only. I know there are people who have been talking about Tanzania, Uganda prices being different. It's not true. We look at the prices because the source is the same. So the prices for fertilizer across this region is expensive because of those disruptions that came with the impact of COVID-19. And of course, now we have a war in Russia and Ukraine, and that's one of the sources of fertilizer. If you look at even the KTN, the fertilizer they are planning to buy, part of the source is Russia. I was asking them, do you have a guarantee that you get this fertilizer? I was telling them, when you are doing the procurement, is there any guarantee? Do you have a guarantee you also get at the same price? Because the war is just unraveling now there in that region.
And also, even the market, when you talk about tea, I mean to understand Russia is one of the top 5, if not the 5th biggest market for our tea. With such situations happening, are we exploring in terms of alternatives, looking for different markets to expand as a sector to make sure that we are having also a fallback plan?
Russia and Ukraine are big market for Orthodox tea largely, and we are not very big in Orthodox tea. But what I know, the way tea is also bought, most of those who buy tea, they also do stockpiling. So the disruptions, in my opinion, is minimal. Yes. And that already prices tell you in Mombasa, prices have not changed. If there are disruptions in terms of the market, you would see dampening of the prices, but the prices are still reasonably good. And the part of the reason is also production is low now. You know we are not in a rainy season now, so the production is also going down. So the supply is not very big in the market, so we are good to go. Yes.
And lastly, touching on wheat, I know especially Ukraine, quite a huge supply of wheat, and we are part of the consumer. They supply the globe, as you've mentioned earlier. This thing is affecting everyone across the world in one way or another. As consumers here back in Kenya, what should we brace up for?
Yeah, I don't think we will. We don't want, of course, to cause alarm, but I know there are many other sources of wheat. Canada is one of the big suppliers of wheat. Those who buy from here bring it here. They buy from Canada and other places. I don't think we'll have a shortage of wheat. No. And luckily, those who buy wheat are also very well established companies that know how to manage those logistical challenges. But in a case there is a big disruption, we will think of what to do. But I don't foresee it for that particular value chain.
Okay. Well, that's the latest from the Ministry of Agriculture, CS Agriculture, Peter Munya, elaborating on quite a number of issues, of course, tea and other global situation and the impact that we've seen from the Russia-Ukraine tension and how that is impacting our agricultural ecosystem and food security. Right now, Business Today takes a short break. When you come back, we have BBC Money Daily, and thereafter, some interesting discussions around the cost of Mabati. Stay tuned.